In the quiet town of Thalor, Arian woke up to a gloomy morning, trying to cast a simple light spell. He felt the heavy weight of his mother's disappointment on his shoulders. As he struggled, memories of being mocked by other young wizards flooded his mind, deepening his sense of failure. Everything changed when Arian accidentally discovered an ancient artifact in the Forbidden Forest, unleashing a powerful magic within him. In that moment, Arian began to see himself not just as a failure, but as someone who could save Eldoria. The morning in Thalor was somber, with gray clouds hanging low in the sky. The chill in the air mirrored the weight on Arian's shoulders as he stood in front of the enchanted mirror. Today was the day he would try once more to conjure a simple light spell. Arian took a deep breath, his heart racing as he whispered the incantation. Lumen, luz que brilla. But nothing happened. The mirror remained dark, reflecting his disappointment more than any spell. His mother's disappointment echoed in his mind. You must do better, Arian. You are meant for greatness, she had said countless times. Each word felt like a heavy stone pressing down on him. Why couldn't he just succeed? Why did magic seem to slip through his fingers like sand? He clenched his fists, frustration bubbling within him. In the quiet of his room, Arian reflected on his failures. The whispers of his peers haunted him. Look at Arian, he can't even light a candle, they would say, laughter ringing in the air. He remembered their mocking faces, and it stung. Was he really so weak? The thought twisted in his mind, a gnawing doubt that he might never be good enough. With a sigh, Arian decided to leave his home behind and venture into the Forbidden Forest. It was a place filled with whispers of ancient magic, and he hoped that perhaps he could find something, anything, that would help him. As he stepped into the forest, the trees loomed like silent giants. Shadows danced around him, and he felt a strange pull to go deeper. As he wandered, the air grew thick with mystery. Suddenly, his foot caught on something half buried in the leaves. He stumbled and fell, his hands brushing against the cool surface of an ancient artifact. It glimmered faintly, covered in intricate symbols that seemed to shimmer in response to his touch. Curiosity tugged at him. What was this? Arian felt a jolt of energy surge through him as he accidentally activated the artifact's hidden magic. It was as if a river of light flowed into his veins. He gasped, and for a moment, the world around him faded. In that instant, he no longer felt like a failure. The energy transformed him, filling him with a sense of purpose he had never known. Could this be the key to unlocking his potential? He stood, breathless, as realization washed over him. No longer did he see himself as just Arian, the boy who couldn't conjure light. He was more than that. The artifact had shown him a glimpse of power, a vision of what he could become, a potential savior of Eldoria. Is this what I've been searching for? He whispered to himself, awe filling his voice. The forest seemed to respond, the rustling leaves whispering secrets of magic long forgotten. He felt a connection to something greater, a bond that ignited a spark of hope within him. But as quickly as it came, the surge of power began to wane. The artifact dimmed, leaving him standing there, heart racing, with questions swirling in his mind. What had he unleashed? Was he ready for the responsibility that came with such power? Before he could ponder further, a rustle in the bushes caught his attention. His heart leapt into his throat. Was he alone? Who's there? He called out, his voice steady despite the fear creeping in. The forest remained silent, but an unshakable feeling lingered in the air. Arian knew this was the beginning of something monumental. He couldn't shake the thought that he was on the brink of discovering not just his own strength, but a destiny that could change everything. With newfound determination, he turned back toward the path leading out of the forest. The weight of his mother's disappointment still lingered, but now it was mixed with the promise of potential. As he stepped onto the familiar terrain of Thalor, he felt a flicker of hope igniting within him. What lay ahead was uncertain, but he was ready to find out. The morning sun filtered through the trees, casting dappled shadows on the ground as Arian wandered through the quiet village of Thalor. The laughter of children echoed in the distance, a sound that once brought him joy, but now felt like a taunting reminder of his past. He remembered the days when he was just a small boy, eager to learn magic but often met with scorn. In his mind, he flashed back to those moments. He could see the other young wizards, their faces twisted in mockery as they pointed at him. "Look at Arian. He can't even cast a simple spell," one of them had laughed, his voice sharp like a dagger. Arian felt the sting of those words even now, years later. He had tried so hard to learn, to make his mother proud, but every failed attempt only deepened the scars on his heart. The fear of never being good enough haunted him like a shadow. As he walked, Arian found himself at the old oak tree, where he often escaped the teasing. It was here that he could think, away from the judgment of others. He sat down, resting his back against the sturdy trunk, and closed his eyes. "Why can't I be like them?" he whispered to himself, feeling a wave of sadness wash over him. "Why can't I be special?" Just then, he heard a soft voice nearby. "You are special, Arian." Startled, he opened his eyes to find Lyra standing a few feet away. Her warm smile was a beacon of light in his gloomy thoughts. "How long have you been there?" he asked, a hint of embarrassment creeping into his voice. "Long enough to hear you doubting yourself again," she replied, stepping closer. "You shouldn't do that. You have your own magic, even if you can't see it yet." Arian sighed. "But everyone else is so powerful. They can do things I can only dream of. I just want to fit in." Lyra knelt beside him, her expression serious. Fitting in is not what matters. It's about being true to who you are. You have a unique gift that others don't. You just need to find it. Her words sparked something inside him, a tiny flame of hope. "You really think so?" he asked, looking into her bright eyes. "I know so," she said, her voice firm. "You have a kind heart and a brave spirit. Those are the qualities that matter most in a wizard. You just need to believe in yourself." As they sat together, Arian felt a warmth spread through him. Lyra's encouragement felt like a gentle nudge, pushing him to see beyond his failures. He thought of the ancient artifact he had found in the Forbidden Forest, the power that had surged through him when he activated its magic. Could that be the beginning of his journey? "I want to prove myself," he said suddenly, determination filling his voice. "I want to show everyone that I can be a great wizard." Lyra smiled brightly, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "That's the spirit. Embrace your uniqueness, Arian. Let it guide you." The weight of his fears began to lift, replaced by a sense of purpose. Arian realized that this was not just about proving others wrong. It was about discovering who he truly was. "I'll find my magic," he declared, standing up taller. "I'll learn to control it and use it for good." Lyra stood beside him, her presence a steady support. "And I'll be right here with you," she said, her voice filled with warmth. "Together, we will face whatever comes our way." With renewed determination, Arian felt a spark of excitement for the future. He was ready to embark on a journey of self-discovery, one that would challenge him and help him grow. As he looked at Lyra, he realized that he was not alone. "Thank you, Lyra," he said softly. "You've given me hope." "Just remember," she replied, a playful grin on her face. "Hope is the first step to magic." And with that, Arian felt a sense of belonging, a feeling he had longed for. He was ready to embrace his path, no matter how difficult it might be. The journey ahead would be filled with challenges, but he now knew that he had the strength to overcome them. Arian stood in the clearing of the Forbidden Forest, his heart racing. The power that surged through him felt both thrilling and terrifying. "Eldrin," The wise old wizard who had become his mentor watched closely, a knowing look in his eyes. "Control is key, Arian," Eldrin said, his voice calm yet firm. "You must understand the responsibility that comes with this magic." Arian nodded, but doubt clouded his mind. He looked at the trees around him, their leaves rustling gently in the wind. "What if I cannot control it? What if it consumes me?" Eldrin stepped closer, placing a reassuring hand on Arian's shoulder. "You are not alone. Remember, magic is a tool. It is how we use it that defines us." As they trained, Arian's thoughts drifted to the village. News had spread about Magnus's order, threatening the peaceful lives of the villagers. The thought of his friends and family in danger made his heart ache. He felt the weight of expectation pressing down on him. Could he really be the protector they needed? "Focus, Arian," Eldrin said, breaking through his thoughts. "Your powers are growing. Feel the energy within you. Let it guide you." With each passing day, Orion learned more. He practiced spells under Eldrin's watchful eye, discovering the history of magic and the guardianship it demanded. They spoke often about the balance of power and the importance of using it for good. "Magic is not about domination," Eldrin reminded him one afternoon as they sat by a small stream. "It is about harmony. We must protect the world and those who cannot protect themselves." Arian absorbed Eldrin's words, feeling a sense of purpose take root within him. But just as he began to feel confident, a crisis struck the village. A loud horn echoed through the trees, signaling danger. "Arian!" Eldrin shouted, his expression grave. "We must hurry. Magnus's order is attacking the village." Fear gripped Arian's heart. "What should I do? I cannot let them hurt my people." "Stay close to me," Eldrin instructed. "Trust in your training, and remember what we discussed." They raced through the forest, Arian's mind racing with thoughts of his friends and family. As they burst into the village clearing, chaos reigned. Villagers ran in every direction, panic etched on their faces. Arian's heart sank as he spotted Magnus's soldiers, casting spells that shattered the peaceful scene. "Get back!" Arian shouted, trying to gather his courage. The villagers needed him now more than ever. "Eldrin, what should I do?" he cried, desperation in his voice. "Use your magic to protect them," Eldrin urged, pointing toward a group of villagers trapped by a wall of fire. "Go, Arian! Show them what you can do!" With a deep breath, Arian focused. He could feel the magic swirling inside him, waiting to be unleashed. He raised his hands and summoned the energy, channeling it toward the flames. "Water!" he shouted, and to his amazement, a torrent of water burst forth, dousing the flames and freeing the villagers. Cheers erupted from the crowd, but Arian's heart raced with uncertainty. Had he truly done it? "Arian, well done!" Eldrin praised, his eyes shining with pride. "You are becoming the protector you were meant to be." But as Arian looked around, he saw the continued chaos. Magnus's order was still attacking, and the villagers were not safe yet. He felt the weight of responsibility heavy on his shoulders. "Arian, we must push them back," Eldrin urged, his voice firm. Taking a deep breath, Arian nodded. He gathered his strength, feeling the bond he had formed with his newfound powers. "I won't let them down," he vowed. With that, he charged forward, ready to face the threat and protect his community. In that moment, Arian knew he was no longer just a boy struggling with magic. He was becoming a hero, a true defender of Eldoria. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the village of Thalor, Arian felt the weight of the moment pressing down on him. He stood at the edge of the forbidden forest, heart racing as whispers of Magnus's growing power filled the air. Rumors spread like wildfire, and the threat of danger loomed closer each day. Arian could feel it in his bones. Magnus was not just a name anymore. He was a force, a dark cloud threatening to engulf everything Arian held dear. "Arian, we must act," Eldrin urged, his voice steady but laced with concern. Magnus's influence grows stronger. We cannot afford to wait. I know, Arian replied, his voice barely above a whisper. But what can I do? I am still learning to control my powers. What if I fail again? Eldrin placed a hand on Arian's shoulder, grounding him. You have come far, young mage. Your heart is strong. Trust in your abilities. But remember, power must be wielded wisely. Arian nodded, but doubt gnawed at him. He felt the pull of Magnus's allure, the promise of strength that came with it. It was tempting, like a siren's call, and Arian struggled to resist. But then, thoughts of Lyra flickered through his mind, her laughter echoing in his ears. He couldn't let anything happen to her. The atmosphere grew tense as news spread that Magnus had captured Lyra, using her as bait to draw Arian out. The moment shattered him. His heart raced with panic. He faced a choice that weighed heavily on his soul. Should he rush to save her, risking everything, including the artifact that held the key to stopping Magnus? Or should he confront Magnus directly, hoping to protect his friend and secure the artifact at the same time? Arian, we need to make a decision. Eldrin's voice cut through the haze of Arian's thoughts. Every moment we waste puts Lyra in greater danger. I cannot leave her, Arian exclaimed, frustration boiling over. She means everything to me, but the artifact is crucial, Eldrin interjected, urgency in his tone. If Magnus gets his hands on it, he will become unstoppable. You must think of the greater good. Tears welled in Arian's eyes, a reflection of his internal struggle. The emotional weight of the moment pressed on him like a heavy stone. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for the choice ahead. I cannot abandon her. I will save Lyra, and then we will deal with Magnus together. Eldrin studied him, a mix of pride and concern in his gaze. Very well, but be cautious. You must not let your feelings cloud your judgment. With renewed determination, Arian set off towards the dark heart of the forest where Magnus waited. The woods whispered secrets, shadows danced around him, and his heart raced with fear and hope. He could almost hear Lyra's voice calling out to him, urging him to be brave. As he approached the clearing, the sight of Lyra bound and struggling against her restraints ignited a fire within him. Magnus stood nearby, a sinister smile spreading across his face. Ah, Arian, Magnus called mockingly. Come to rescue your dear friend. How noble of you. Let her go, Arian shouted, his fists clenched at his sides. You won't get away with this. Oh, but I already have, Magnus replied, his confidence unshakable. With her, I can lure you into my trap, and that artifact will be mine. Arian's heart raced, a mix of fear and anger coursing through him. He felt the power within him surge, a reminder of the transformation he had undergone. You will not take anything from me, he declared, feeling the magic begin to pulse in his veins. In that moment, he realized that his choice was not just about saving Lyra. It was about standing against the darkness that threatened to consume them all. The depths of his feelings for her fueled his courage, igniting his resolve. He could not let his friends down. Arian, you have no idea of the power you are dealing with, Magnus sneered, stepping closer to Lyra. You are just a boy playing with magic far beyond your control. With a fierce shout, Arian unleashed a wave of energy, channeling his determination into a brilliant burst of light. It illuminated the clearing, pushing back the darkness, and momentarily blinding Magnus. Lyra, hold on, he shouted, his heart racing as he fought to save her. In that moment, Arian understood the true essence of sacrifice. It was not merely about choosing between two paths. It was about embracing the responsibility that came with his powers and the bonds he had forged. As the light enveloped them, he knew he was ready to confront whatever came next. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a golden hue over the battlefield that had once been a peaceful part of Eldoria. In the aftermath of the clash with Magnus, Arian stood alone, surrounded by the remnants of the struggle. The air was thick with the scent of burnt earth and the echoes of spells cast just hours before. He felt a heavy weight settle on his chest. Despite the victory, a deep sense of unease clawed at him. As he looked around, he saw the faces of his friends and allies, Lyra and Eldrin among them. They were gathering to discuss what had transpired, their expressions a mix of relief and concern. Arian's heart sank. "What have I done?" he whispered to himself. The power he had wielded felt both exhilarating and terrifying. Was this the true essence of magic? "Arian!" Lyra called, her voice cutting through his thoughts. She approached him, her eyes kind and understanding. "You did what you had to do. You protected us. You saved the village." "But at what cost?" he replied, his voice trembling. "I feel like I've lost something inside me. The power, it's overwhelming. I thought it would make me strong, but instead, I feel lost." Eldrin stepped forward, his wise gaze meeting Arian's. "Power can do many things, Arian. It can build and destroy. It is not the power itself that is the problem, but how we choose to use it. You have shown great courage today." Arian sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I just wanted to prove myself. Now I fear I have only brought more danger to those I care about." Lyra placed a comforting hand on his shoulder. "You are not alone in this. We are all here with you. We need to talk about what happens next. We need to unite against Magnus." The mention of Magnus sent a chill down Arian's spine. He nodded slowly. "You're right. We can't let him tear us apart. Unity is what we need now." They gathered in a circle, the three of them forming a bond of support. Arian took a deep breath. "I want to reach out to other magical beings. There are creatures in Eldoria that have stayed hidden for too long. If we can bring them together, we might stand a chance against Magnus." Eldrin smiled, his eyes sparkling with pride. "That is a wise decision, Arian. Many beings have felt isolated in this conflict. It is time to show them that they are not alone." With a newfound determination, Arian felt the fire of hope ignite within him. "Then let's start with the fairies of the Misty Glade. They have always kept to themselves, but I believe they would join us if we showed them that we can stand together." Lyra nodded enthusiastically. "And the Forest Guardians. They have powerful magic and know the woods better than anyone else. If we can gain their trust, we might find allies we never expected." Eldrin added, "Do not forget the elementals. They have their own struggles but are fierce protectors of nature. If we can reach out to them, our numbers will grow." As they discussed their plans, Arian felt a sense of purpose begin to replace the guilt that had weighed him down. He realized that collaboration and acceptance were the true forms of magic. "Together, we can make a difference. We need to show everyone that we are stronger united." With renewed energy, the trio set out to gather their allies. They traveled through the lush woods, the whispers of leaves guiding their way. Arian felt a surge of excitement. This was a new chapter. As they approached the Misty Glade, the air shimmered with magic. Arian could sense the fairies nearby, their laughter echoing like music. "We need to be honest with them," he said as they stepped into the glade, "and show that we are here to help." Lyra smiled. "They will see your sincerity, Arian. They will know you are one of them." With the support of his friends and allies, Arian stepped forward, ready to forge new alliances. In that moment, he understood that the true essence of magic lay not in the power he wielded, but in the connections he made. Together, they would stand against Magnus, united in purpose and heart. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting an orange glow over the battlefield, Arian stood firm, his heart racing. He faced Magnus, who towered before him, shrouded in dark energy. The air crackled with tension, and the memories of their past confrontations danced in Arian's mind. He could sense the weight of the moment. It was now or never. "Arian," Magnus sneered, his voice dripping with malice. You think you can stop me? You are just a boy, playing at magic. You have no idea of the power I hold." Arian clenched his fists, his resolve hardening. "I may be just a boy, but I have learned what true strength is. It's not about power or control. It's about protecting those who cannot protect themselves." Magnus's laughter echoed across the field, a chilling sound that made Arian's stomach twist. "You think friendship and love can save you? They are nothing but illusions. Power is the only truth." With a deep breath, Arian called upon the magic that surged within him, feeling the warmth of his friend's support. He remembered Lyra's gentle words, urging him to embrace his uniqueness, and Eldrin's wisdom about the true nature of magic. "True magic," Arian declared, his voice steady, "comes from the bonds we share, not the power we wield." In that moment, a brilliant light erupted from Arian, illuminating the dark space around them. The energy pulsed with life, swirling in colors that represented every being in Eldoria. He reached deep within, channeling the love he felt for his friends, the villagers, and the world he had fought to protect. Magnus's expression shifted from mockery to shock as the light enveloped him. "What is this?" he shouted, trying to shield himself from the radiant energy. "This is the magic of unity," Arian replied, his voice rising above. "You will not harm my friends or my home any longer." With a powerful surge, Arian directed the light toward Magnus, who struggled against its force. The dark energy surrounding Magnus began to dissipate, lingered beneath his facade of confidence. "You think you can defeat me?" Magnus growled, but the tremor in his voice betrayed his uncertainty. "I don't just think it," Arian asserted. "I know it." Magnus, a wave of warmth washed over the battlefield. The dark sorcerer staggered back, his power unraveling like a frayed rope. Arian felt his heart race as he saw the magic barrier around a protective shield that had been dormant for far too long. The ground trembled, signaling the return of hope to the realm. Arian's friends, Lyra, Eldrin, and the magical creatures they had united, stood beside him, their faces filled with determination and pride. "Together, we are stronger," Lyra shouted, her voice ringing clear. Tears of relief filled Arian's eyes as he saw the unity of all beings in Eldoria. "This is our magic. This is our strength." Suddenly, with a final surge of energy, Magnus was engulfed in the light, his dark figure fading into nothingness. Silence fell over the field as the last echoes of his defiance vanished. Arian took a deep breath, the weight of the battle lifting from his shoulders. He turned to his friends, who rushed to his side, their expressions filled with joy and relief. "We did it!" Eldrin exclaimed, his eyes sparkling with pride. Arian nodded, but a thought lingered in his mind. It wasn't just me. It was all of us. The real magic was in our friendship. As the magical barrier shimmered around Eldoria, Arian felt a profound sense of peace. He understood now that true greatness lay not in power, but in the connections they had forged. The love and friendship they shared would shape their world far more than any spell ever could. In that moment of clarity, Arian smiled, knowing that the greatest adventure was not about the battles fought, but the bonds created along the way. And as they stood together, united against the darkness, he realized that their journey was just beginning, filled with hope, love, and endless possibilities. Share this story if you believe that the power of friendship can conquer even the darkest challenges. Leave a comment about a time when unity made a difference in your life, and subscribe for more inspiring tales like this one.